Hey guys, for the first time I'm going to teach you how to play first move d4. And this video, you actually have to thank to Noel from Mexico. Thank you so much for your request to teach you how to play against the Baltic Defense. And right after this video, you're going to be able to see the next one. Of course, for all of you, please like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay up to date and of course improve your chess. Don't forget, from recently I'm on Twitter as well, @TheButcherChess, so follow me there as well and keep up with all the latest tweets and everything what I'm actually doing. Once again, thanks to Noel from Mexico, and let me just teach you how to beat the Baltic Defense. So a very common question is, how does it appear? You play d4, they go d5, you play c4, and after you play c4, they play bishop f5. This is the Baltic Defense. Who are the main contemporaries of this opening? Igor Miladinovic, ex-world junior champion, good friend of mine. He's one of the main guys, 2600 GM, who used to, on regular basis, to employ this variation. Then Igor Raus is from Latvia, and Malanyuk from Ukraine. Those are three top GMs who used to play. Shirov occasionally used to play this line as well. And there are like lots of good players who actually from time to time like to go with this line. Even though all these guys, even especially those three GMs that I mentioned previously, use this opening on regular basis, I just have to say that the Baltic Defense is considered to be suspicious opening by black. So what's the main idea by black players? First of all, to confuse you. Secondly, to play some offbeat variation where you're just going to be like kicked off from theory, and they just hope that you don't know like the best moves and the best, almost like the refutation of this line. So what should we do? We should be playing c takes d5. That's a very simple approach against all these side variations in the Queen's Gambit by white. So whenever you play like d4, d5, and c4, whether they play bishop f5 or knight f6 or c5 or anything else, you just should take on d5. Why? Simply, black doesn't hold the center, so take advantage of it. I just also want to show you what is one of the most interesting variations by black in this Baltic Defense. So when you play bishop f5, lots of guys immediately try to take advantage of the potentially weak square on b7 and go with this, at first glance, interesting move by white, but actually very bad one. Queen to b3. All of a sudden, black goes with crazy, complete gambit e5 move. So when you take on b7, they go knight e7, and I don't want to show you the rest of this line. This variation is considered to be great for black, with lots of sacrifices. For example, if you take one more pawn, they go knight f6, and it's hard to resist black's initiative here, and that's why you should never play like this. So how should you play? I already told you, take on b5. Baltic Defense should be played with the bishop b1. They have to take this knight. They can't take by queen. Lots of guys would take by queen on low levels, and just remember, you develop knight, you threaten this queen on d5, and if the queen goes on d8, it's the most logical move. Take the center, open up like both of these bishops, fight this knight, this bishop on f5, do that with a tempi, and white is just great. If they go with queen a5, now you can't play e4 because they would just simply take this pawn for free. But how do you play? You first include this bishop d2 move. Yeah, now you threaten e4, and they can't even stop e4 next. So even if they play knight f6 or c6 or whatever, your next move should be e4, and white is like so much better. That's why after c takes d5, black simply has to take on b1. And that's a surprising point of this opening. Here, you have to remember that not like the classic refutation of this opening, but like absolutely the best theoretical approach and move by white is queen a4. What's one of the main points of this opening? If you take by rook, for example, main points by black. If you take by rook on b1, they will go queen d5. They threaten pawn. You have to play e3. They go knight c6, attacking the pawn. You defend it with knight f3. They go long castle, threatening the pawn. They go e3, and you go e5. You are behind in development. Your king got stuck into the center. They're now threatening, to take on d4. They also, we can hardly defend this pawn on d4 now. And basically, I'm of opinion that black is already good, if not even slightly better in position like this. That's why after bishop takes b1, you need to remember to play this accuracy queen a4 check. Lots of guys are not familiar with this one, and unless you remember this queen a4, you're just going to be absolutely compelled to play this position, under the fire or by black players, and you're just going to have like lots of troubles afterwards. So queen a4 check. After queen a4, they have to play c6 or queen d7. Knight d7 is a bad move. You take on b1, and they don't have an easy way to get this pawn back on d5 anymore, and white is just so much better. Queen d7 was used on regular basis by Grandmaster Miladinovic, and there is a guy from North Macedonia who used to play this variation for black, also a friend of mine, Organgiev, and he goes with this queen d7, fighting very, very solidly with black pieces and trying to hold his opponents. But you know what? After they play queen d7, of course you have to take, otherwise you're just down a piece. You take on b1 bishop, and they go knight f6. We have to take a look at this position, and let me just tell you, like two different but good enough approaches by white. So I just have to explain you what are your advantages here. Of course, nothing else but the bishop pair. Lots of guys, requests, subscribers ask me, Mayo, please do the lectures on how to use the bishop pair. We're gonna do those lectures, but at the moment we just have to focus on white pieces and on fighting off these side variations with d4 and in the queen's gambit. So let me just show you two approaches. If they go a3, a3 is a nice move, because when they take on d5, now they don't have the idea of knight b4 threatening on a2 and doing the knight c2 check followed by knight takes d4. And that's the point of a3. And when you play g3, they go e6, bishop g2. Whether they play c5 or c6, it's pretty much the same. I believe that more logical would be to play c6, because you got a bishop pair and you desperately want to open up the game while they want to keep it closed. So after you play e4, knight b6, knight goes to e2, you will just go short castle, bishop e3, and white is long-term better thanks to the bishop pair. I'll show the game between Grandmaster Belov and Pavelev, played in Moscow championship back to 2006. I very much like the following plan by white. The guy played c5, d takes, bishop takes. This should be very pleasant experience for white, because the game is just getting more and more open, which is very suitable for white players because of these bishops. And now most of you would go with knight f3 or just something like b4 tempting, but look at this move. What a nice move to claim the advantage. Knight goes on f4, fighting off this knight on d5, exchanging one of the knights and one of the pieces there, and eventually this knight can even go to d3 in case it's needed to control the center. After like knight f6, knight f4, castles, bishop d2, he completed his development and now put that knight on d3. After bishop d4, played d3, put the king on e2 and played rook h to c1. I don't want to discuss about this type of game. All I want to say is that white is better thanks to the bishop pair, which is one thing. And second thing could be better development and better placement of white pieces. Like you can go with like b4, a4, a5. You can go with like rook c4, doubling your rooks. You can go with knight c5, trying to claim advantage thanks to the potentially weak b7 pawn. So all things considered, on queen a4 check, they have to play c6. Once again, knight e7 is just bad because of rook b1, and they can hardly get it back, this pawn on d5. If they play queen d7, this is just hyper solid position for white and a long-term advantage thanks to the bishop pair. And I told you two plans. I showed you a3, but let me just show you another very logical and easy plan. Develop your knight to the center, and when they take like d5, play e4, knight f6, defend the pawn on e4, play b4 to stop c5, which I like very much, and after king e2, put the king on e2 because you're just getting ready for like good endgame. And when they play like c6, bishop d2, rook h to c1. This is a game between woman grandmaster, ex-Serbian champion Suzana Maksimovic and Organjiev, played in my city like 3 years ago, and white eventually managed to win this game very easily. So all things considered, they have to play c6. Queen d7 is just a safe and a very easy type of advantage for white, mainly thanks to the bishop pair. After c6, now you have two options. Larry Kaufman, in his book, in his really nice book that like showed up a couple of years ago, where he used only computer analysis, says that white should go with rook b1. I played one tournament game. Unfortunately, I only played one tournament game against the Baltic Defense, and that game I actually drew, and I played rook b1. After queen d5, knight f3, knight d7, bishop d2, Larry Kaufman claims that this position should be better for white. It's nice. It's certainly better for white, but I'm not sure what's the real assessment. And for example, Kaufman in his analysis says knight b6, queen c2, and in case queen a2, e4, which is fine. Against knight f6, e3, but the point is, if knight f6, e3, knight b6, he says queen a5. I'm not a big fan of this move. And then hiding your dark square bishop on a5 afterwards, like knight e4, taken, playing bishop a5. I'm not a big fan of this, because yes, you do keep bishop pair. Yes, it does make sense. But actually, if you want to play this one, I can suggest better move, and that could be a novelty here. That's queen c2. Point is, if you take on a2, if you take on a2, I'll go with bishop d3, castle e4, rook a1, and I'm just going to have like much better position thanks to the activity, bishop pair, and everything else. But the case is, in case they go with knight e4, trying to destroy the bishop pair, you just set your bishop on a good square. They have to take it, and you take by b pawn. Now you open up this rook. You want to go a4, a5. You want to go with c4, and then this queen turns out to be bad piece on d5. That's what you need to remember. And if you want to go with this type of, let's just say, continuations for white, then go with rook b1. Boris Sabruch and myself, we actually prefer d takes c6. After knight c6, rook to b1. This is a very simple advantage for white. Once again, everything should be based on the bishop pair. They take on d4. you take on d4, they take by knight, and I'll show you the game between Elvest and Brauses played in Riga in 1995. Elvest played a3, kicking this knight away with a tempi, and he played a very nice move b4. By the way, somebody asked me, what if knight c2 check? Nothing, just put the king on d1. Now they have to move the knight back. Now you play bishop e5 check. Now they have to put it back again. Knight f3, and after rook d8, you just place bishop on d2. You'll move your king up to e2. You're threatening knight e5. You'll put rook, for example, on from h1 to d1 and rook from b1 to c1. But you can also do rook h to c1 as well. White just looks like easily better. Once again, the same old story, bishop pair, better activity of pieces. You're just ahead in development, which makes your position being so much better. So after rook b1, there are players who will go with e5. Watch out not to, I don't know, in some blitz, to be blind and to completely forget about d takes e5, where they go with bishop b4 and it's almost checkmate and you just have to lose the queen or get mated. So that's why after e5 you have to play bishop d2. They have two approaches. To take by queen, which is absolutely fine for us. We take, and when they take by pawn, we just go with typical plan. g3, bishop g2, and famous knight h3 followed by knight f4. Your knight eventually could go on d3 to block the pawn on d4. Your pawn from f1 will go on c1. You're just going to start pushing these pawns, and to all together with kicking off this knight with b4 and b5, opening your bishop on g2 and fully being able to take advantage of the bishop pair. In case they play go queen d4 and they go with just knight takes d4, you just play e3, they go knight c6, and of course what else but to develop your piece, to threaten to take at some point on c6, creating like 3 pawn islands in black's position, or you just want to keep developing your pieces. And just what happened in this game by Ben Feingold, he took on c6 and played on 3 pawn islands. It's fine, and he was better. That's what Ben Feingold did. White was better. But you also can play knight f3, put a king on e2, and improve position of both of your rooks and get a nice game. This was a very short lecture. I hope you enjoyed. And I have nothing else to show you. That's why we actually consider that the Baltic defense should be a little bit suspicious opening nowadays for black. Thanks for watching, and once again, thanks to Noel from Mexico, who is actually the guy in charge for this video. He actually paid for it. Thanks. Bye-bye.